Hi everyone, welcome to our second Hangout with a Book discussion. We're here at the Garfield Heights Branch Library of the Cuyahoga County Public Library, and we're here to discuss the worldwide phenomenon novel Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. My name is Matt Skavasic, and I'm a librarian at the Cuyahoga County Public Library.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan Barrett, and I am also a librarian here at Cuyahoga County Public Library. And tonight, if you want to participate in the discussion, feel free to post your questions in the Q&A feature on the side of the Hangout. And you can also vote for questions you like the best by hitting the +1 next to each of the questions.
And just a heads up, we are going to be talking about details from the book, so a huge spoiler warning.
Absolutely.
If you have not read the book or you want to wait until the movie comes out and be surprised, you probably want to click log off now because we will be talking about details and we'll be giving away a lot. We have library staff who are joining us via video tonight for the discussion from other locations, so please welcome Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben Cox. I'm a librarian here at the Cuyahoga County Public Library as well. Happy to be here.
Thanks,
Great.
Ben.
Thanks, Ben. And also just wanted to let everyone know we are very excited that we actually have passes to an advanced screening available to customers that actually participate in the Hangout tonight. So we have a limited number of those advanced screening passes, and if you stay tuned, we will let you know at the end of the Hangout how you can actually get those tickets. So stay tuned, and let's dive in.
Yeah, the thing about the book that I think was the most intriguing were the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick and Amy as characters were pretty devious to me.
Yeah.
So I guess the obvious question would be, what did you think of those two characters?
Wow. Well, I didn't really love either of them. I hated Amy, and I know I'm supposed to.
Such a strong
no,
word.
but I really did. I really did. Nick was not quite as bad. I mean, he clearly still had his faults, but he wasn't as devious as Amy was. But no, she was the worst. Ben, what did you think about the characters?
It was frustrating reading about both of them. Like, they both kind of drove you a little bit nuts with how they handle situations. And, yeah, it just had me how hard it was to deal with Amy. But then, like, Nick, a lot of his decisions you didn't agree with either. So it was really hard to feel sympathy for him throughout even though Amy was clearly nuts.
Yes.
Nick frustrated the heck out of me because I took, like, the first time I read it, I wanted to hate him so bad, and I couldn't because like at the beginning I was like, he totally did it. Like, he murdered his wife, and it felt almost cliched, like, oh, the husband is gonna be this evil bad guy, but he got played from the beginning, and then he just kind of crumbled, and there was something endearing but something very sad about it too to me, that he just gave up. Like, she beat him. You know what I mean?
Yes. I don't know if I think she beat him. It's almost, I guess he did kind of crumble because towards the end of the book, and see, we're just jumping right to the end. I mean, he was almost not just as crazy as she was, but I mean, towards the end of the book, and there was like at the very end when he decides to stay with her, and his sister Margot had said, you know, you're addicted to her, and like really he was, you know, and he actually compared, you know, I think at one point he used the phrase like, you know, it was catastrophically romantic, you know, just the fact that they knew each other so well, and even throughout the whole thing, while Amy was still out on the run, he knew what to say to her to kind of lure him back, just like she knew with the clues in the scavenger hunt what to say to kind of keep him invested, and he really kind of, you know, I mean, he just...
Okay, but
he really... Go ahead.
I disagree because at that point when he says he's addicted to Amy,
yes,
he says, I was a callow boy and then a man, good and bad. Now at last I'm the hero. I'm the one to root for in the never-ending war story of our marriage. It's a story I can live with. Hell, at this point, I can't imagine my story without Amy. She is my forever antagonist. I think he's pathetic.
Yeah, but he also said, yes, I think he's pathetic too. Sorry, we're like all pulling out the book. And actually, Ben, if you want to jump in too, while I'm looking for a page, do you have anything to add to this?
I mean, like a lot of people, I read the book really quickly. I couldn't put it down, and then at the end, I was immediately mad or frustrated by Nick deciding to stay with her at the end. And I don't know if it was necessarily pathetic, but like I keep coming back to the word frustrating. That and on one hand, I kind of think that he might, once the daughter's born, he might make a move to get away or something. But if I couldn't, that just nagged me at the end that he stayed.
He was so resigned at the end. Like, he wasn't, but he was, because he was still trying to beat her with this book. But then, his own manuscript, and then he just seemed kind of like, well, I'm stuck here.
Yeah, but at the end he said too, like, okay, so at the very beginning of the book, like maybe even, but it was the very beginning, he talked about how he could always recognize Amy's head. And it was not just the shape of her head, but he also was always thinking about, what was going on inside her head, because her mind was always moving so quickly. And then at the very end, like his last entry, oh, I think that's what you said too.
Uh-huh.
He's finally imagined.
Yeah.
Back to that. But I didn't read it as him necessarily giving up so much as like he was still in, and it was like they were engaged in this kind of
Ongoing
like match of. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Ben?
Ongoing battle, just another battle in the long war.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I think Amy was just, she had pre-planned so much more than he did, obviously, and I just don't think he was even capable of keeping up with her. Like, it wasn't a fair war, because she had, every contingency planned for her.
Well, agreed. I mean, the woman, faked 7 years of a diary, so yeah, I mean, she definitely had it planned out. But he did know what to say to her to bring her back. Like, if he had not recorded that video in the bar and actually, said what she wanted to hear, she would not have come back. She could have stayed gone.
It's really interesting.
I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts.
She could have.
Yes, and she didn't.
But I think that was the attraction to her, the game, the taking her fingers and putting inside of his brain, and
right.
That was the thing that was attractive to her, about
yes,
their relationship.
Was,
so no way could she walk away. No way.
No. And once she came back, she needed him, too, to kind of back up the story. Like, at the end, when she's pregnant, it was kind of like, I'm pregnant, and now you need to sign this affidavit saying that all the credit card debt is yours, because if he didn't go along with all of that stuff, then her story fell apart.
It fell apart for him and for her.
Correct. That's crazy.
And I think that's why it's so compelling. Like, they are so intertwined that the one cannot exist without the other.
Right. It's like a sick little, yeah, just gross.
To me, they were so loathsome that I had trouble finishing it. And it got me thinking about, do we have to like these characters? Do we have to like everybody in the book? And there's something very compelling about seeing the evil side to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the only person I found even remotely redeemable in the book was his sister.
Yeah.
Was Go. And even that was this weird codependent relationship between brother and sister. Like, to a point where it was weird to me. Like, their relationship was not inappropriate, but it just seemed not desperate. That's not the right word I'm looking for, but it didn't seem, it wasn't a normal brother-sister relationship. Like, they relied on each other almost the way a normal married couple would, to me, emotionally.
What do you think about that, Ben? About either Nick's relationship with Go, or, I guess back to your original point too, do you have to like characters in a book?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I don't think you. I mean, it depends on the book. I mean, a lot of shows and mediums right now. There's a lot of anti-heroes, Breaking Bad, stuff like that. So there's a lot of bad characters who become the main character out there. So like it helps. I mean, for some shows it's not particularly easy to follow, follow along and like if you don't like the character, but others you can't help but watch. And I feel Gone Girl is one of those you can't help but watch, see what they do next. Amy especially.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having a discussion about this book with another colleague actually today, and we were talking about the characters and how neither of us really found them likable, and we had this discussion too. Do you have to like characters to like a book? And it was really interesting because she made the comment, which I actually kind of agree with, is you don't necessarily have to like them, but maybe find them somewhat relatable. And like the character of Amy, I mean, well, I guess I'd be nervous whoever found her relatable. But I don't know. I don't know. I just really...
The idea of Amy is relatable. The diary of Amy is relatable.
Well,
but not the real Amy.
But that's fake Amy. But like real Amy is a character, yes. Fake Amy, and you're supposed to be able to relate to like diary Amy. I think that's why Amy created, that fake persona. But real Amy, I just couldn't even, I can't even come to words to describe it. But as much as I didn't like her, I hate to say it, but like I was impressed by her. Just because, as crazy as she is, the lengths that she went to were kind of impressive.
Well, and I think that's what made the book interesting to me. Wasn't so much the characters, it was the way it was layered together. It was the combination of, yeah, Amy's not likable, but she's at least interesting,
right.
and her methods were so well developed that I liked the process of it. I liked how she covered her own tracks and took care of every T and I and did everything that she needed to do.
Right.
But I liked that with the alternating voices of the book. I liked the back and forth between her and Nick.
Right.
I liked the twist that I never saw coming in the middle. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when you combine all those things, it's not a matter of likability, it's a matter of interestingness.
I think that's true. It's a good point.
Yeah.
No. Oh, and real quick, before we jump on to the next question, just wanted to remind everyone, if you have any questions that you would like to add, you can add those in the question section of the Hangout. So please feel free, comments, questions. We'd love to hear from you. Okay.
Ben, did you like the narrative switch?
Yeah. And that's how I kind of when I recommend this book to people, that's one of the selling points. But you don't want to give away that like they're unreliable narrators right off the bat. You want to like the guy's wife goes missing, and it's his point of view alternating with her diary from when they first met up to the disappearance, and that's a really compelling way to follow along to a story, especially once you start realizing Nick is lying to you and to the cops, and it just feeds upon itself, and I really enjoyed it.
I liked that the book wasn't your stereotypical male, it wasn't the stereotypical, the husband did it,
right. That
made it really interesting to me, but it could have been your standard Lifetime movie. I always think of Lacey Peterson, and I don't know why. I always picture, it's interesting that Ben Affleck's doing the role, because I always pictured Rob Lowe, like a young Rob Lowe doing this role, because he's a little greasy, and he's a little, smarmy or whatever.
Okay.
But, where was I?
Lifetime movie.
Yeah, it avoided that completely, but it wasn't predictable, and I combine that with the good writing style.
I think that's why it's not. I think it was the good writing and the devices that she used that kind of made it avoid the whole Lifetime movie feel.
Yeah. We have a question actually from a user. It says, when I read this book, I find myself liking, hating, and liking the characters. What else have you read when you had a similar experience? Wow. I remember reading, oh gosh, what's the last book I read where I liked and hated the characters? I remember reading In the Lake of the Woods by Tim O'Brien many years ago, and this book reminds me so much of that because it is the husband and wife and they're isolated and you don't know if he did it, you don't know if he didn't, but you really get inside their head and you see the struggle that they have, and I think you see that with Nick. I don't think you see the struggle with the wife though. I think you see the calculation with the wife. So I got the same vibe where, I really like the character and I felt empathetic for him, but then, he does some really nasty things. Which we didn't talk about the affair with Nick at all yet. As much as we want to love Nick, he did some really nasty things. He had an affair with one of his students.
He did.
And you're passing that off.
I think because compared to what Amy does,
compared to the psycho, compared to the manipulative psycho, an affair, that's normal. That's normal, comparable marriage, not psycho.
Right, and it happens. I mean, again, like not to dismiss it, but it's not. I don't want to say it's commonplace, but like it kind of is. You know, it's not really anything super shocking. And from the beginning, we knew he wasn't happy. You know, even before Amy disappeared, you know, it's the morning of his 5th wedding anniversary, and, you know, he's describing, like, the feeling of, like, bile, you know, coming up his throat, and his wife's like, oh, good morning, handsome. You know, I mean, he clearly wasn't happy in his marriage. So I guess it wasn't as I wasn't super surprised by that.
Well, but I wasn't surprised, but I think Amy wasn't happy, not only in her marriage, but she wasn't happy in her own skin.
No. Okay, so since you brought that up, I'm going to take that and kind of go into the whole Amazing Amy thing. Because what do you think about her parents and the whole Amazing Amy franchise? Do you think that impacted Amy and kind of made her the way she is?
I do.
Or contributed to it?
No, I do, because I think she took that as she grew older and got to college, and I think they allude to it with the roommate in college, remembering correctly. In prep school. But then she gets this. College. I think the perfect picture of Amy morphs into, what did she call it? Cool Amy?
Cool Girls.
The Cool Girls.
Yes.
And I think, like, it was so ingrained in her as a kid through these books, this picture of perfection, and it just spawned into this, like, crazy thing. Because she says, being the cool girl means I am a hot, brilliant, funny woman who adores football, poker, dirty jokes, and burping. Cool girls are above all hot and understanding. Cool girls never get angry. They only smile in a chagrined, loving manner and let their man do whatever they want.
Okay.
That is completely disassociated from reality.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the point with the cool girl, is that Amy is saying that women adopt this persona, and it doesn't actually exist. So I think that's kind of common.
Well, I think that's what the author was trying to get at in the book.
But that's what Amy is saying too.
Right.
Because she's saying she was pretending to be the cool girl, that you know, no one is the cool girl. Women pretend to be the cool girl because they think that's what men want. That's what the author, through Amy, I think, is saying.
Well, the woman as an empowered individual, the woman as aggressor, the woman as manipulator. I don't know, maybe that was, like, that's the point she was driving home in this suspense novel of the idea of gender role. Because all the other women were really kind of, nobody was as clever, nobody was as smart as Amy, obviously.
But not just women. No one was. I mean, I don't think there were any other characters that kind of reach that level. And I think that's what she was saying. It wasn't just women, it was characters throughout the book. Wouldn't you agree? Or would you agree?
I would.
Okay.
Ben?
What do you think?
I mean, she was the smartest of everybody, and I do think the her having the Amazing Amy books growing up is both it's both a pedestal. I mean, like having your daughter having books based on you is an ego boost, one thing, but having not just like, oh, my parents wrote a book about me. They wrote a book about me, calling me Amazing Amy, and like that's a lot. Like you gotta be the best. Like when you're at 5 years old named Amazing Amy, you gotta be better than anybody else, and I think that contributed to everything going forward with her.
I agree with that too. I mean, there's even mention in the book. Where is it? When they're talking about with the Amazing Amy. Oh, it's like in the beginning. 26. So this is her diary, but it's still kind of the beginning. But she's talking about, whenever she screwed, real Amy would screw something up. Amazing Amy did it right. When I finally quit the violin at age 12, Amy was revealed as a prodigy in the next book. So it was like when she quit the tennis team, it was kind of the same thing. So it was, not only were her parents dubbing her Amazing Amy, but then in the books they were doing examples kind of
like you can't keep
reflecting
up.
Well, yeah, and like choices like, oh, I quit violin. Oh, well, in the next book, Amy is a prodigy. So it's, kind of saying you shouldn't have quit. I mean, how could you not take it that way if you're a child, I would think.
Well, as a child, then everything becomes a manipulation, and everything becomes I'm not good enough. So later on in life, here she is like saying, well, I can best all of you, and I can do it just because I can.
Right.
Poor Nick.
Never stood a chance.
He never stood a chance.
No.
But what about Andy? Because I look at that Andy character as Nick's, and I think maybe that's why you dismissed it earlier, his affair. He just needed a break, and I think she became that break for him because she was the innocent 23-year-old that Amy probably never was.
And she was easy, not, you know what I mean, like
easygoing.
Easygoing. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I meant.
Yes.
But it wasn't as much work as his relationship with Amy had turned into. Ben, what do you think about the character of Andy?
Did we lose you, Ben?
Okay.
Looks like Ben froze up.
That's okay. Well, while we try and rectify that again, any questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A feature. And again, getting +1 as well. And hopefully Ben will be back with us in just a moment.
Hello?
Ben, you're back. Wonderful. I don't know if you heard our discussion about Andy as a character, kind of Andy as antithesis almost of Amy.
Relief, break.
What do you think of the Andy character, or the character of Andy?
I gotta remind me, to be honest.
To me, the other, like the lesser women, the who was the lady with the pie? Shauna, the neighbor that showed up, the crime groupie, whoever that was. Like, to me, all those women seemed just opportunistic for me. Like, it was kind of red herring by the author. Like, oh, he's he could stray and he's not devoted to his wife and this and that. Like, I think that's what Shauna, the role that Shauna served in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Andy was definitely like antithesis of Amy. But she wasn't innocent either because she had an affair with the guy.
Right.
So, but I think he was looking for some kind of positive relief, and it just caused more problems for him. Like, I think that's...
Yes. Well, yeah, because wasn't it was the affair that set this whole thing in motion.
Yes.
Amy's plan, when she found out or saw that he was cheating on her, which is just so crazy. I mean, I'm sorry, I know we've talked about how crazy that character is, but I mean, just the lengths that someone would go to, like a revenge.
Well, but the author made reference in an interview I saw,
Okay.
and she was very purposeful in setting the book up in the current economy, and I'm look at it a little larger, and you have this seemingly perfect marriage. The guy gets laid off from his job. The economy goes to all hell.
Mm-hmm.
And the perfect life that she's supposed to have, like the cracks have started to kind of seep in, and I think that she couldn't deal with it. So like maybe the affair by itself was one thing, but then she couldn't be the New York girl in New York anymore. You know what I mean? So they had to move back, and it was like, well, it's already failing. Marriage is already a shambles because my life isn't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't know, to me I read it as the author's larger statement of like the environment is, I did.
Okay. Okay. No, I'm saying that I okay.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Because it's not perfect. Because Amy.
Gillian Flynn's a former magazine writer, too, who got laid off from, I think, Entertainment Weekly or something. Yeah. So, like, a lot of the characters like that, you know, being smart and employed in New York and working for magazines, and then having to go to Middle America and like not write for big magazines. I mean, that's a direct parallel to her life.
The big reveal in the middle of the book where we find out that Amy is alive. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about Desi at all. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
But the big reveal, to me, that whole third act just kind of meandered a little bit, and the ending. When we haven't talked about the ending yet, so
okay.
What did you think about the ending?
I was frustrated. I think Ben, you used the word frustrated, or maybe Matt, maybe you both did use the word frustrated, early. But I was frustrated because, I guess I was kind of hoping that
Amy would get it.
Yes, I mean seriously. I mean she did this crazy thing. She killed Desi. She stole her husband's sperm, and is now pregnant, and there's now a child involved, which I think is the craziest thing. I was very frustrated. Ben, what were your thoughts on the ending?
That it all got pinned on Desi didn't immediately make sense to me, because you would figure that not to get like too in depth, but like you would figure that like the police would look at him when she immediately disappeared, and he had nothing to do with it. But then later, when he picks her up and helps her out, I don't know. It feels like it ended a little bit too neatly. Her plans like her improvised plans at the end ended up too neatly for me, if that makes sense.
It does.
It kind of lost me, like, I don't want to say believability, but like to me it kind of, the scene with the vomit, where she had canned her fail-safe of like blackmailing Nick was the
antifreeze argument.
The antifreeze argument at the end, where Nick is finally resigned to the fact that he's going to they're going to stick it out. These kids are going to make it after all. and he throws the vomit away, and then she disposes of the jar. That scene to me is like the epitome of resignation, like, and total commitment to one another at the same time. Like it's these two absolutely conflicting ideas of these two people that like are so resistant to being with one another, but so dependent on one another at the same time.
Well, yeah, it's what we were talking about. It's like I really think that the battle between the two of them,
it's infuriating and compelling all at the same time.
Yes.
And Nick, poor Nick. I marked a thing here that said, is Nick trapped or is he resigned? And to me, I think I think when he finds out that she's pregnant, it all changes for him. I think his reasons after that he realizes that she's with a child, he's staying for the child. I don't think he's staying for her. So I think there's something redeeming, something a bit noble about it.
It brings back to the war, the battles versus the long war. Before it's revealed that she's pregnant, he's resigned that he can't get out of this. But then I don't know if maybe it's determination, but yeah, once he has a stake in her not going, in keeping her happy again. It's less resignation and more probably trapped and with the idea that maybe he can one day get out of it again, or at least keep his daughter safe by keeping Amy in check.
But I don't think you can. I don't think you can keep Amy in check because she says at the end of the book, she says, I'm supposed to love Nick despite all his shortcomings, and Nick is supposed to love me despite my quirks. Like, she blows off like, oh, I'm psychotic, but they're just quirks. It's not a big deal.
Well, because she is just, in her mind...
She's right.
She's right, and these actions... I mean, even when we, touched very, very briefly on Desi, but, the whole murder, she was kind of like, yeah, I mean, just kind of glossed over, it was okay.
Right.
So, yes, it doesn't surprise me that she thinks her behavior is it's just a fun little quirk about her.
Well, but she says, it makes me think that everyone is very wrong, that love should have many conditions. Love should require both partners to be their very best at all times. And I think that's what she's been looking for that throughout the whole book, is perfection. And she's looking for undying, complete devotion at all times. And when anything comes short, she either manipulates them or kills them.
Yes. Yes. So, are we hopeful for the characters at all?
I am scared for the characters.
You're scared for the characters. So, 5 years down the road, Nick, Amy, and Baby, where are they?
Wow. Still in the Midwest. I think she's on a book tour, living the jet set life, and he's probably hiding out somewhere.
Okay. Ben, what do you think? 5 years down the road, where are these characters?
I think Nick's hopefully a stay-at-home dad, and she's the jet setty belle of the ball type personality again, and he can hopefully raise his daughter. But I think it'll all be dead in 5 years, and quite honestly.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. So there's no middle ground. Like, Amy's big thing is either you love me completely or you despise me completely. Mm-hmm. And with all of these characters, I don't think there's any middle ground. And I can't, for the life of me, put my thumb on why it's so compelling. Like, why is it so polarizing? Like, I kept thinking of Tony Soprano, and I don't know why.
Okay.
It's like you hate that person so much. It is, and you want to see them either change or be beaten. I think, and that's what I was looking for in this book. Like, I want to see the wife. I want to see Amy take a turn for the better. I want to see, those crazy kids make it.
Right.
Or I want to see her die.
Well, that's the extreme example of we've all had friends who they're with somebody and how are you dating her, or how are you still with him after all of this? And this is the extreme version of that, where you're reading Nick's you read Nick's point of view and you're like, how can you wake up next to her every day and just keep going through this when you know what happened? But why it's compelling is we have friends and people we know who are in that same, maybe not this extreme situation, but they stay on for whatever reasons, and it's interesting. It is compelling.
Would you classify this more as a tragic love story or a police story? Like, Is it more of a mystery? Like I think it's all three, me personally. But how would you classify this?
I would not classify this as a tragic love story. I would not. I would classify this more as, like a mystery or investigation, a thriller. Not a love story.
A twisted love story.
It's a beautiful romance.
No,
it is not.
No, it's an infuriating, one-sided,
awful
romance. We didn't talk about the Ellen Abbott character at all either, or the role that media played in the book.
There's a lot of interesting characters, kind of a shame, only a half an hour, can't really touch on all of them. But yes, the media, I think, was another character, personally, and just the response to it, how, I don't know. In
the book, though, I think it served the point of the sensationalism of everything,
right.
The immediacy of everything, the 24/7 driven aspect of it. I think that was the point, that it is a circus and it is a.
And that cases end up getting tried in the
court of public opinion.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I go ahead, Ben.
I was gonna say that the 24/7 immediacy is the whole reason why they're in Missouri in the first place. Like that's all. That's why they lost their job at magazines as long form writers. Is the internet quick hits type stuff. Magazines shut down and all that stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think the author was. I think she fed into what am I trying to say? I think she saw there was no substance to it. I mean, she was playing on our assumptions of the husband is guilty. Like that, to me, that whole first half of the book, because then when Nick gets arrested, gets indicted.
Well, he's a suspect.
But he's the prime suspect.
Well, right.
And I think that was the author playing on that assumption, like, oh, well, the spouse usually does it 9 out of 10 times, but she just happened to pick the wrong one in this case. Like,
right.
I don't know. I thought that was a nice twist on it. Thought it worked.
I would agree.
So, I don't think that. I don't like Ben Affleck as Nick.
I actually really do. I do. I think that he is kind of, I don't know, the character of Nick was described as kind of like all-American, very much like, I don't know, man's man, but not in like a, I don't know, Ben Affleck fits for me. I don't know. You do not care for him.
I want a young Rob Lowe.
You want a young Rob Lowe.
Yes. Ben?
I think Ben Affleck works. I was more excited when it was first announced Reese Witherspoon was going to be Amy, and then now she's just producer on it, and I forget who playing Amy now. But like a young, like election Reese Witherspoon kind of made a nice Amy. That's kind of how I pictured her, with Reese Witherspoon, like bubbly but evil.
Does she have the polish to do it? I don't know. I see Amy a little more polished.
I do too. I think Reese Witherspoon, like the Amy trying to be the cool girl Amy, I don't know if Reese Witherspoon could do it. The woman who is playing Amy, her name, it's Rosamund Pike. She was in, I don't know if either of you have seen the Pride and Prejudice version with Keira Knightley, but she was in that. She was Jane Bennett. But no, I think that just having seen her in that movie, I think she could.
From Jane Bennett to.
Well, but to be in a Jane Austen movie, I mean, clearly in a period you have to have some polish and poise, whatever, which I think the Amy character would need to have.
True.
That's the only movie I've seen this woman in, so I can't say how I think she would do as far as like the more devious aspects. Neil Patrick Harris is Desi, which I think is good. I think that's a good fit for that character.
I think it works. I think he could play the obsession of Desi very well.
And I think he has the polished kind of blood feel.
Oh, he could totally pull it off.
Yes, so I think so.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely. For the folks who have commented, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
This has been fun, and thank you for sending in your questions.
Uh-huh.
Ben, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We will have passes for the film, and we've posted a link, or we will post a link in the showcase. And all you will need to get those passes is to create a GoFobo account if you don't already have one. And then the screening of the film is going to be October 2nd at 7:30 at Regal Richmond Cinemas. So please make sure you click the links on the side and you can get screening passes to the film.
Absolutely. And there's a limited number of screening passes, so make sure you do that sooner rather than later. And last thing, because Gone Girl is such a popular book, we put together a list of read-alikes. So if you loved Gone Girl, please remember that there are other books in our library system that are similar to it. And we will have a list of those read-alikes on the side as well. So check them out. A lot of them are available in ebook, so you can get them at your
audio.
closest branch, audio, ebook, all that good stuff.
Thank you for joining us. This has been great. It's been a lot of
Absolutely.
fun going into very dark places with this book.
yes,
So
it was.
thank you.
And just wanted to let you know our next Hangout with a Book is going to be on Monday.
Speaking of dark places.
Speaking of dark places, it's going to be on Monday, October 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to be discussing Horns by Joe Hill. It's a horror suspense novel that is also just in time for the film
Daniel Radcliffe.
version of that book as well. Yes, with Daniel Radcliffe.
Great.
So see you then. Hope you'll join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.